Okay, welcome to the first practicals of Introduction to Structured Programming. Today I'm not alone. Julia is with me, and I'm Michi again, and we will guide you through the practicals today and for the whole semester. And now, what do we do today? What is our plan for today?
Okay, so then let's look at today's agenda. Well, we'll first talk about some organizational matters, maybe just repeat some stuff from last time because we know that was really much. Then we'll look at our virtual machine, then some basic Linux commands. Then we'll show you how to set up Git and GitLab so you can work on your assignments. Then we'll write the first small program, which you will learn more about in today's lecture. And then we will show onlineGDB again for your homeworks.
Okay, now there are really
weekly exercises.
Yeah, for the weekly exercises. Now there are really a lot of things on this slide: virtual machine, Git, hello world. I'm not sure what this is. Is this a problem if I don't know these terms right now?
No, so we'll come to that's just what we are doing today. We'll explain everything, of course.
Okay, very fine. Okay, then start with the organizational matters.
Okay, so what is this practical stream? Well, it's additional to the lecture, and here we'll do, as the name says, more practical stuff. So we'll actually code and not only talk about theory. So we'll do live programming. What we'll also do is we will present you the homeworks and your assignments, even though there are additional assignment videos, but we'll give you a quick overview. The most important part.
Now, but one more thing to the previous point. Maybe we will also give you a slide here and there about an assignment, maybe something that you should know or that maybe helps you.
Yeah.
Yeah? Just that you follow the practicals.
And one of the most important parts will answer your questions. Today we have planned that we'll do a bigger question round at the end of the stream, but of course we'll also try to answer the questions we get in the chat.
Yeah, so we will always have a look on the chat, and we also have a slide for that, I think. So generally in the YouTube chat, feel free to ask questions, and yeah, we try to answer them. We look on the chat, but we are not able to answer all the questions because we have to really focus on teaching you. And in addition, you also see David in the chat, and he also tries to answer as many questions as he can. And yeah, just to mention this, the chat is also moderated, so if you write something unrelated or even worse, it might get deleted. So please be kind in the chat. Okay, then at the very beginning now, again, some, let's call them hints, what you should do. So again, I really want to highlight that ESP is really one of the most important courses in your bachelor. And now you heard this probably in all courses that you're doing currently, but for ESP this is really true because it's really the foundation for every computer science related subject that you do in your bachelor. And everything you learn here, this is not just because we like to teach it to you, it's because we really have to teach it to you. We also like to teach it to you, but we really have to because you need everything and you need to follow everything here. It's really important. If you don't do that, you will lack some experience in the next semesters.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's a bit scary that you really need to know everything we teach in this course. And I really think this is true, but it won't be that difficult because you'll repeat it over and over again. You will do this stuff we teach you so often in the next few semesters that you will just naturally remember all of it, more or less.
This is probably a hint for general subjects at university, but also for us, you please learn along and start early with the tasks. Probably in the end of the semester, the task will become harder, will be more time consuming, and if you start too close to the deadline, then you are most likely not able to finish the tasks. And probably this is not why you want to lose points.
Yeah, and I think the weekly exercises are a great chance to really learn along.
And the last point, again, practice, practice, practice. So if you only follow the lecture, this is nice, but you will not be able to program if you just know theory. If you learn an instrument, it's not enough to learn some theory about the instrument to play it. And if you're doing your driving license, it's not enough to hear theory about it, but you really need to practice it. So as always, just practice. And now this is also important, and we will do this also today. Please read through our Notion guides. Always, if you have questions, this is the first point where you should have a look, because we nearly explain everything there. And yeah, we have a question in the chat. Can you already register for the coding sessions? I think this is now our next slide. Homework 1 and coding session 1. We will open everything after today's lecture, because we want you not to be distracted now from our teaching. But after the lecture, the practicals and the lecture, the coding session will be open, so you can register to a time slot. And homework 1 is also available. Maybe we can go to the Teach Center. I think I have it opened.
Yeah, homework 1.
So you cannot access it because it's not available right now, but in 2 hours. And next to it, there is also the scheduler, also not available right now. But there you can book the time slot, and there you can find the homework. And it's crucial that you submit the homework before you go to your coding session time slot.
Yeah.
That's so far for the organizational matters.
And after today's practical stream, you should be able to complete homework 1.
The topics are Linux and Git, so that's what we're teaching today. So it's maybe a good hint that you follow today's practicals closely, because then you have an advantage for the first homework.
Okay, but first let's start with setting up your programming environment, where you will do all of the stuff this semester. And you'll need to work in a virtual machine. Well, what is a virtual machine? It's just like, as the name implies, a virtual computer. So it's more like, so it's a computer which runs on your computer. And on this computer we'll be using a different operating system. So not macOS or Windows, we'll be using Linux, which you will often use when programming in computer science. And maybe important for people repeating ESP, in this semester we have a different virtual machine to the previous semesters. We just installed the new version of the operating system. So it's updated.
So basically in the Linux world we moved from Windows 10 to Windows 11, but in the Linux world, of course.
So we have a question in the chat: is a Linux PC fine? And yes, so basically in this course you can work in any way you want. It just has to work. And with our virtual machine we more or less guarantee you that the results you get from the test runner are the same that you will get online, and the same results we get when we test your assignment. Because of course, if you're working on different machines, and especially on different operating systems, there can be differences. And then this could mean that you might lose a test case if it's really unlucky.
Yeah, so there are already many things that you have probably not heard of: test cases, test runner. But basically the outline is just, if you use a different operating system, you might get different results. Yeah.
And we grade you on the results we get in this virtual machine.
Okay, yeah.
So the next thing is, let's already look at it in the Notion guide. So if you go to Guide for the Practicals, we have here a sub-guide, Virtual Machine and Pre-installed Programs. And here you can see, okay, we have one installation section and one for macOS ARM. So what is this? Well, we actually need 2 machines, because if we want to support MacBooks with the new Apple Silicon architecture, so every MacBook that has M1, M2, M3, M4, then we will have problems with the one where most of you are using. So there's a separate one for those. But if you have just some regular Windows laptop or Linux laptop or an older MacBook with an Intel processor, then the default VM is all you need. Just if you have a newer MacBook, note that you have to follow this section in the guide. That's especially for those new MacBooks. And you will have to use a different program to run this virtual machine. Then we will show now.
So for the macOS part, this is everything explained in this guide, right? On the Notion. And we will focus now on the x86 path, so that for most of you is relevant. And we will show you now to install it.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe first we go through some questions now in the chat. Because there were many about, do I have to use Linux? What other setups are possible?
So there are of course many ways you can run Linux. If you dual boot Linux, so if you install it alongside your regular operating system, that's fine. Also, if you use Windows subsystem for Linux, that's also fine. But for most of you who haven't heard of that before, that's also fine. That's why we explain the most straightforward way to do this today, which is using our virtual machine.
So also a large advantage is in the virtual machine, we set up everything for you. Mm-hmm. You just need to install it. And I think this is not really hard unless there is a problem, which might be the case for some of you. But if everything runs fine, everything is pre-installed and you don't have to do much about that. And in the other ways, you need to do this manually. It's not prepared from our side. So this is more work, and maybe you need to be a bit more experienced that you handle problems that occur during the installation here.
Maybe also important to note, if you're not working on the virtual machine, when you upload your code to GitLab, you will always see online how your code is performing, so not only offline. So you can always check online if your code is working on our virtual machine.
So you can compensate for differences if you're using another possibility here.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that was a bit much, but the takeaway point is use the virtual machine.
Yeah. So is now the part where we show the virtual machine, or
yes,
exactly, setting up the virtual machine. Okay, I opened here the download folder. So this is probably relevant here. And maybe I go through the guide simultaneously. So maybe go here. So installing the virtual machine, overview, installation, and so on. And now we have a look at installation. You need to install VirtualBox first. So we provided here the download link. You just download it for your Linux, Windows, or maybe Mac if you are not using the M1 or M2 chip. And you also need to download the Oracle VM Virtual Extension Pack. Yeah, you need to download those two things. And now we already did this here. We downloaded VirtualBox and we downloaded this VirtualBox extension pack. Now you just install VirtualBox, so as you install every other program as well. And then you add afterwards the extension pack. I think this is also, after the installation, you double click on the extension pack. So I have now both installed. Okay, and then once you open VirtualBox, we also did this, then this looks something like this. Sorry, it's a bit small probably in the stream, but the important thing is, here on the left side are the virtual machines. And when you open it the first time, none of them will be there.
It will be empty.
We just installed the program that will handle our virtual machine, but we haven't got at the moment. So now you said this, we need to download the corresponding virtual machine. In our case, for x86, it will be this download link. It's about 2 GB, 3 GB, something like this. So if you are fast internet, you need 5 minutes. If you are the slow internet, you don't start it right now, because probably then the stream is not working anymore. You download this, then you also have this in the download folder, and then you can add it. It will probably look like this. You can import this yellow arrow here, if you can read it in the stream, just means import. You click on it and you select the file here that you downloaded. And then, if you did this, your virtual machine pops up here, and it should be called ESP WS24. And this is then the right virtual machine. And now the only thing left that you need to do is you need to double click on it, and then you start it. And now we can reveal this, how this looks like. Then it looks like this. It will start like operating system, so there will be a loading screen and so on. And at some point you need to enter the password here. And the password is the same as the username, so this is the username here. And the password is also student. So we'll type this. If I type it correctly, student, and then it looks like this. So it looks very similar to an ordinary Windows desktop, for example. And that's how we start the virtual machine. Were there questions in the chat?
I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay, then again,
maybe where you can find this link to the Notion. You will be automatically redirected to our Notion if you go to coding Graz.at, and then you'll be automatically redirected.
Yeah, we can again go through it. So go to ESP, then then we have here on the bottom right.
Here are all the guides. And then virtual machine.
Exactly. And if you type on this now, we have.
Yeah. And yeah, as we said, if you have a MacBook, you'll do it a bit differently. It's very similar. You just need to use a different program that's also linked here. Then download the VM, extract it because that's a zip file, and then drag it into UTM. That's the program that's called there, and it should work very similarly. Maybe something to note, UTM, if you look at it in the App Store on the MacBook, it costs something, but UTM is actually open source, and with the second link here, you can always download it for free. So only in the App Store, it has a price. You can actually download it here.
So this substitutes VirtualBox, basically.
Yes.
There's the question if there is some Microsoft Visual C++ 2019 package necessary. Maybe if this occurs during installation, maybe you just Google for it and install it. So if this is really the case, I don't know by heart, then if something additional is required, Google for it, you will find the page where you can download and install it then. And also the question is, do I have to change some settings in my BIOS? This might be the case, that you need to allow virtualization in your BIOS.
So often there are some problems setting up the VM because it's not always that straightforward. For most of you it should work, but some of you will have problems. And I think it would be the best if you ask questions on Discord, so we can help you there.
Okay, now we can now assume the best case that the virtual machine worked and we have it as we've seen it before.
Yes. So, and I think I already saw a question in the chat about Docker, and yes, Docker now is supported. And if you don't know what this is, that's not a problem. It's just an alternative that's new this semester that you'll need if either we really can't get your virtual machine to work, or your laptop can't handle the virtual machine and it's too slow. Then you can use Docker. Because Docker is a bit more lightweight than a virtual machine and probably runs faster. So if you have problems, we also here in the guide for the practicals have a guide to set up Docker, but this is a bit more technically involved. So I would recommend to you that if you don't know how to already use Docker, that you should use the virtual machine.
Okay.
And if you have any problems, we'll help you set this up.
So basically, if you don't know what you should do, install the virtual machine. If you know what you're doing because you're even more experienced and you think the Docker is better, you can use Docker. And if there are larger problems, then you can also use Docker. But of course, we try to help you everywhere where we can.
Yeah. And we are currently aware of some issues with Docker on Windows when working on an assignment. But I think we already found a fix.
Yeah.
So if you get some permission errors using Docker for an assignment, you can ask on Discord.
Okay, so that's everything about Docker, and everyone who is using the VM can forget this slide again.
Yes.
Very nice. Then, are there any more questions? Yeah, one interesting question I saw was, the virtual machine runs separately and stores information separately. Yes, this is true. So if you store something inside of the virtual machine, you cannot, or usually you cannot access it from outside, or vice versa. There's also an option that you have a folder on your host system that you can share with the virtual machine. Also for this, there is a guide in the virtual machine section.
And when you're working on some assignment or something else in the virtual machine, I always recommend you to often upload your changes, because if the virtual machine breaks or something else happens, you always have your code online and you don't lose any progress. Okay.
Then we come to the next part.
Linux commands.
Yay! Something new. Yeah, I think we can start. No more questions now.
Okay, then.
Should we directly move to the virtual machine?
Yes, I think so.
Again,
if you log in again.
Yeah.
You want to type?
I typed it for you. So now we're in the virtual machine.
And now there's something in Linux called the terminal, which you'll use to run your programs and also to upload changes to GitLab. And so you can, some basics. We'll now show you how you can use the terminal to, do basic stuff you often want to do with files and on your operating system.
Okay, then maybe you can show it to us.
So let's double click on terminal.
Yeah, so it's large enough.
Yes, and we can see here that it looks intimidating, but we just have some this block here, and this is just as in any other program, the point where we can type some characters into the terminal, and we can use those to issue commands to the to Linux. We will show you a few. Do you want to start?
Yeah, maybe we also explain what's the left part here before this $sign. Maybe this is also interesting here. So if the student at ESP winter term 24, this is just now the name. We can ignore this, but the blue thing is the interesting thing. Here it's, we have desktop. So this means that the terminal currently is in the same folder as the desktop. So I move this now maybe to the right. I hope this works here. No, it doesn't work. So I need to do this, or I'm put it here, but I need to do it by hand now. Not that fancy. Okay, and now I will also open a folder and go to the desktop. And okay, this also doesn't work.
And so you should be already familiar with file browsers like this, maybe Windows Explorer, maybe Finder on Mac. And just as this file browser is always in some specific directory, in this case on our desktop, the terminal is also in some specific directory, which right now is also the desktop.
Okay. Is there also another way how to find out in which directory you are? I mean, it's displayed now in the terminal, but is there also a command available for that?
Yeah, so we can see our path here, but we can also type in pwd, and this command will display the path where we currently are with our terminal.
So home student desktop.
Yeah, maybe you might be familiar already with paths such as this. On Windows, they often start with a drive letter, so C:, and then users, your name, desktop or something. And in Linux, we don't have that. We just start at the root, and then home student, there's our desktop.
And now on the left side, to compare it with that, we also have here the home symbol, student desktop. So this is basically the same. Okay, this was a bit boring maybe.
Yeah.
Do you have something better for us?
Okay, now we can see that here are files on the desktops. This desktop, namely shortcuts to the most important programs. And we can also look at files in the current directory with ls. So more or less list. We can list the files that are on this desktop. And these .desktop files here are just shortcuts to our programs.
Okay, so we have now the same view more or less in text and one in the folder here. Maybe we can create a directory, for example. So
on Windows or any operating system, you might know if you want to create a directory on your desktop where you store your homeworks, you might be tempted to do something like right-click, create folder, but we want to do it in a terminal. And there's also a command for that, namely mkdir.
So make directory.
Yeah, make directory, followed by the name for that directory or folder. Homeworks?
Or should homework? Or
you want to do homework?
Okay, you want to do homework, then I give you the homework. Make directory homework.
And we can see here on the left the directory for the homeworks appeared. And if you want to check that in the terminal, we can do ls, and we can see, okay, here we have a homework directory.
Very nice.
And we can also see that directories are in a different color than files.
Okay.
That's also nice to know.
Now I created this directory, I probably want to go inside of the directory. How can I do this now in the terminal?
In the regular file browser, we could just double click on the folder. And here in the directory we have a command which is cd, which is change directory. So we change to the directory homework. And now we can already see here we are in desktop homework, or if you want to use the command, we can see that we are now in the homework directory.
Now, maybe I want to go back again because I want to go back to the desktop for some reason. How can I go back here in the command line then?
Well, maybe what you might try now is that you type change directory and then start typing this whole path here, except the homework. But we don't need to do this. If you want to go one level up in the folder hierarchy, we can use this double dot to mean this, okay, we want to go to the directory which is one up. And now we are back again in desktop. And now we can use the arrow up on the keyboard to cycle through commands we already entered
So you type now 3 times arrow up or something.
Yes. And then we are back at change directory homework, and with enter we can go back into that directory.
Very nice. Okay, now we have created this directory. We are now again inside of the directory. Maybe we want to create a text document now. How can we do this? How can we create a file inside of the directory?
Okay, so there is also a command which is named touch, which if you specify a file name here, it will create this directory if it doesn't exist, file if it doesn't exist, and if it exists, it more or less won't do anything. We won't go into details, but so if we type this here, touch homework.txt, we want to create this file, we can see, okay, we can immediately see that here is the homework.txt. And we can see this here too. There is the homework.txt in the homework directory.
Okay. Now we created this. Maybe we have some typo in there. Can we rename this file also?
Yeah. So renaming on the terminal is like moving the file somewhere else. Therefore, we need the command move, and we will move the file from homework.txt to homework1.txt, because maybe we realized maybe numbering the homeworks would be a good idea. And if we execute this, we can see, okay, this is now homework1.
Very nice. Okay, now maybe we have a second homework to do. How can we do this? So we have already this moving command. Is there also some copying?
Yeah, and maybe you can already guess. So copy, CB is for copy. We can specify homework1.
Oh, okay, wait a second. Now you didn't type everything. How did you do that?
If you're within a directory and you want to specify a file name, you can type the start of the file name, and if you then press tab, it auto completes to a file in this directory, because homework1 is in there.
Okay, so this is now the thing that we want to copy, and maybe we create the homework2 now with that.
Yeah, so we specify a copy from this file to this file, and the second file now doesn't exist, but it's fine because we didn't create it. So we copy from homework1 to homework2. So we have 2 files now because we copied the first one.
How do I change the name of a directory? We have the question in the chat. The same way how we change the homework.txt to homework1.txt. You go to the correct folder in your terminal, and then you type the move command with the old directory name and the new directory name.
Do you need some special flags?
No, for move not.
Okay.
For move not. Okay, so now we have this done, and yeah, how can we display now the content of a text file? I mean, we could open it now, we could go here, and hopefully some software installed. If we double click it, yeah, we have some notepad here. Can we also display the content of a file in the terminal?
Yes.
Even if it's empty right now, but maybe...
There is a command called cat, which if you execute this, specified with a file name, so homework1.txt, it will print out the content of this file, but our homework1.txt is empty because we only created a new file but didn't like input anything into that file, so we more or less get nothing.
Very boring.
Yeah.
Now we could of course now open it and write something here, then save it and then show it again in the terminal. But now I would like to have a very specific thing. Yeah? We had entered this ls command before. Yeah, this ls, and it showed me the content of the directory. So there's this homework1.txt and homework2.txt. So basically, this is the output of this command. Yeah, there are some commands like cat, which has no output in this case because it's empty. or the move command has no output, because why should there be an output? But ls should show us something, so there is an output here. Is it possible that we execute a command and take the output and write the output into a file?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Dumb question if it's possible, because of course it's possible if I ask it here.
Yes, we can use ls. So ls gives us this output, and now we can use
difficult keyboard layout. Yeah, I don't know where it is. We need the larger sign, and we have no guess on this keyboard where it is.
Right.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you have no.
I'm not used. Normally it's here.
No, okay. Maybe we go to the browser and copy it from somewhere. This is really a bit embarrassing, yeah, but okay, we don't know.
Maybe it's because of the VM.
Ah, it's in the VM different.
Yeah, in the VM
okay,
we have
a different keyboard layout.
So it's the German one, but I don't know that.
Yeah, and I don't know where this is on the. Okay, no, we have it here.
Okay, so we need this symbol.
Yeah. The largest. Yeah, you in the chat have found it easier than we. Yeah.
The keyboard layout in the virtual machine should work for you.
No, thank you, David, but we have found it now.
The keyboard layout should work for you. It's just that I'm used to the English layout, and we have an English keyboard here, and I don't know how I can type it then.
Okay, but we found it.
So you use this symbol to redirect the output from one program, from one command, namely ls, to a file. And now we can specify a file name which you want to store the output to. So we don't see the output here now, because the output of ls is stored to this file. Maybe we can first check it out here.
Yeah.
If we open this, we can see, okay, the output of ls really is in this file.
And can we also display this now again in the terminal?
And as we know with cat, we can also display the contents of this file here.
Very nice. Yeah, these were some basic commands that we wanted to demonstrate to you. We have it also on the slide corrected. Maybe we can just repeat them very fast, because we're already a bit in time issues, I think, but it's no problem.
pwd, which prints the current directory. We have ls to list the files in the directory. We have makedir or mkdir with a directory name to create a directory. We have cd, change directory to a directory name. We have touch with a file name to create a new empty file, as we've seen. And we have move, so mv with an old file and a new file to move the old file to the new file. And this is renaming. We have cp, which is copy the old file to a new file, so then we have two files. And then we can type any command, this symbol, so this smaller, bigger than symbol, and a file name to redirect the output of this command and save it to this file. And then we have cat to print the file.
Okay, as I see this now in the chat, maybe we can go back to the virtual machine. I just want to write, just to the virtual machine, not in the slides back. I just want to open.
To the virtual machine.
Yeah, not in the slide. I just want to show you one command, which you should be really careful about. So rm removes something. And with R, you can also remove directories. And if you type in now some directory name here, you remove that directory without getting asked that you want to remove it, and it will not be put into the waste bin. So you cannot restore it. If you type this command, be very careful, because you can really remove everything.
Also, just with rm, if we type homework2.txt and delete it, it's just gone. it's not in the trash, you removed it, so you can't get it back. So be careful with RM.
So RM is really a bit dangerous in the beginning.
And yes, storing the output of a command to a file overrides its content if it has any. Okay, then Git and GitLab.
Yeah. So Git will be used, or GitLab will be used for the assignments. You will do your submission on GitLab. But it's not like a tool to upload something, upload an assignment like the Teach Center. It's much more, yeah? And Git is a so-called version control system, yeah? And I want to explain this now briefly, what this means. So you work in a folder, and we will call this folder always a repository. And this folder exists on GitLab. Yeah, this is just a website. Now it's a server somewhere. And this folder exists on your PC. Yeah, so you have the online version and the offline version. And you will always work in the offline version. So we'll have this offline folder on your virtual machine. You work for the assignment, write the code, read through the description, and so on and so forth. And at some point you say, okay, I've completed the assignment, or I've completed some part of the assignment. Then you upload the changes to the online folder. So you have the online folder and the offline folder, and every time you upload it, they get synchronized. So basically this is similar to, I don't know, Google Drive, iCloud, whatever, but it will not get automatically synchronized. You always need to do this manually.
And this is what I meant previously, that you should do the synchronization often, so you don't lose any data if the virtual machine breaks.
So every time you finish something on the virtual machine, upload it to GitLab, it is stored there, nothing can happen because it's somewhere online.
Yes.
And we use GitLab instead of GitHub because we have an instance of GitLab at the TU Graz and no instance of GitHub at the TU Graz.
Yeah, I think you can't host an instance of GitHub.
Okay, yeah, then it's just GitLab. What are the advantages? Yeah, you can go back to previous versions. You not only synchronize these folders, but you also see all the changes. So you can always see what happened during the last upload. Yeah, what was changed, what was added, what was removed. So if you do some mistake, you can go back to previous version. And of course, this is very advantageous if you collaborate with other people, because everyone can work in their own offline folder, and when something is completed, you just upload it to the online folder, and the others can work completely independently. And when they are done, they upload it. And maybe you did already some project at school, maybe, and with 2 or 3 people, and when somebody did something, you sent an email or sent it via Discord or whatever to share your changes. With Git, this is much easier. Yeah, now we need to do some setup here for Git, because we said we have this offline folder, we have this online folder, and you need to be able to communicate from the offline folder to the online folder.
And GitLab needs some way to know that you have the permissions to work in this online folder.
Yeah. So one option is that you always enter your username and your password of TU Graz.
Yes.
Or this is not even possible right now due to the 2-factor authentication. So this is the difficult way, and we are lazy. We want to set it up one time, and from this moment on, we do not want to type any username or password, and that is why we create this key. SSH is just some protocol, doesn't matter. You generate this on your PC, you give it also to GitLab, and then they know each other, and from this moment on, you can do this without entering your password.
This also means you should never show your key to anyone else, because then they could steal your identity and pretend to be you in front of GitLab.
Good, but now we demonstrate this. So we have, we already said this. we have some command here. Yeah, so this line here, it's not perfectly visible. This is a command that we need to execute now. So copy it. I copy it now and we go to our virtual machine. Is it important where I enter it? I don't think so. So how to paste something into the terminal? Right click and paste is the boring option. The not so boring option is Control, Shift and V.
Yes.
So when you work with the terminal, it's not just Control C, Control V, it's always with the Shift. Okay, now we execute the command. So we create a key pair.
Then it asks us where it should be stored, and this is the default location, so that's fine.
So we just enter. Passphrase,
We don't need any passphrase.
Same passphrase again, it's again none. And now we leaked our key. No, this is no problem. This is
not the key.
This is not the key. And we already see here that in this file, the key is stored. So now we need to navigate there. If I just type cd, change directory, without anything, I'm at the very start again.
Type pwd.
pwd.
We see we are just in our home directory, which is on Windows your users directory, more or less.
Now we can also type ls maybe. Okay, the list is not too long and not even everything is shown. We now need to move to .ssh, and this is a folder, and the folder which starts with a dot is not visible. Yeah, but we can still go there. So with this ls, it will not be displayed. We could type something else, but we don't do this now. We just go to the directory .ss, and if I type tab, yeah, it's also there. Okay, now in the SSH folder, again, ls. Now we have 3 files, authorized keys, ID RSA and ID RSA pub.
And these ID files are the one mentioned by the generation of the key program here. So we see both of those files are mentioned here. And now it's very important that this file is the public key. We can view that, but never show this file, which is your private key, and as the name implies, you should keep it private. So let's view the public key. So
we can type cat, as we've seen before, and now important that we really only show the public key, and this looks like this now.
And now we'll need to copy it.
Yeah, so Control Shift
C.
Or
right click copy.
Yeah, alternatively.
Then we'll go into the browser to GitLab.
So this is just the GitLab page. If you go to it, gitlab.thgraz.at.
You need to click on your image, go to the preferences, and then here at SSH keys, that's what we generated. You have a few.
Yeah.
We can add a new key and then just paste it here. And it already gives you this title for the VM.
Yeah. And then we add the key. Yeah.
Here you can set a date when this expired. We can leave it at the default and then add the key.
Now we register this key, and now the GitLab on the virtual machine is connected with the GitLab online. And the important thing here is also that the virtual machine is independent of your operating system outside. So if you have a key outside, you need to create one in the virtual machine as well.
Yeah, so they're basically 2 different devices. Both of them, if you want to use GitLab on both of them need a key.
Okay, now
do you have a slide for the next one?
Yes, of course. So now we want to clone the repository. So we want to assume that there exists already this online folder, and we want to clone it now to our virtual machine that we can work in the offline folder. So basically for all the assignments throughout our course, the repository is already provided. For the homework 1, you will need to create it on your own, and that's maybe a good thing to show. So we go back to the GitLab page, so just go to the home page here again. We add the new project, create blank project. Now, I don't know, practicals. 1.
Then for the group, you need to select.
Yeah, so here you don't have these choices. You just have your own workspace. So it will be mine now in this case. It should be private because nobody should see what you're doing there in your homework. You can initialize it with a README. This is fine, and create the project. Okay, now this is a folder here. So here's the list of the files in the folder. This README is provided. There is some information contained. You can ignore this now. And now, how can we bring it to the virtual machine?
Yeah, well, this is something called cloning. And of course, we need to tell your virtual machine which repository, so which online folder you clone. And therefore, you use the command git clone and then the link to your online folder. But very important, because we have an SSH key, if you click on code here, you need to copy the link where it is cloned with SSH. And if I click here, it should be copied.
Then we go to the virtual machine. Now, maybe we go into this homework folder again, because this would be more convenient. So this is desktop homework. So now we're again in the same folder as on the left side.
And now we need git clone, and then we paste our link.
Yeah.
Then the first time you clone something, it asks you, if you really want to trust where you clone this from, you can type yes, and then it should be done. And as you can see here, we have this online folder now here. You can also go to it here, list the files, and we see the README we automatically got here.
Yeah, so this README is now synchronized, or this folder is now synchronized with the virtual machine. So far so good in the chat?
Yeah, I think so. Just because there's some discussions about Windows, I'm not sure if you can use this command on Windows. You will have to figure this out on your own if you want to use Windows.
Yeah.
Okay, then continue.
Yeah, we continue. Now, this is crucial because you should be identified by Git. You should know, or Git should know who you are, and also we would like to know who you are. And for that reason, you need to set your name and mail address for Git. And this is really necessary for the assignments. And we have 2 commands here. And yeah, we just execute them now. So we copy the first line, put it here. And what it states, we just said git config globally and the user email address. And now please type your student email address here. Should I do this now in the live stream? I'm not sure. Just do something like this. But you write, please, your correct student email there because we would like to identify you. So this is done. And then we have also the other command for the username.
So the same thing for your real name here. So we know that, so we can see online that you made those commits.
And again, your full name, please, not just an abbreviation that I'm doing here now. Okay, so this was the git config part. And now, now maybe we do something in this offline folder. Yeah. What have we seen? Maybe we create a file. I don't know. I will write helloworld.c. I would just name it this way, this file, but I think we were not able to really come to C today. But we've just created this file. Now this file is in this folder here, and of course it's, even if I reload, it's not here because we have not synchronized the changes yet.
Yeah.
Now I have one more slide for this, I think. How can we upload changes? I will just show it to you. Don't look on the slide. I will just show it in the VM to you and you can have a look on the slide later. With git status, you can show what are the differences. What happened during the last synchronization.
So more or less, what is the status of your offline repository?
Now we see, okay, here is one file, helloworld.c, which is untracked, and this is also marked in red.
And it already tells you what to do. That's nice.
So we should call git add and then the file name, helloworld.c. So basically this means we say this file should be synchronized now. Okay, if we do git status again, we can see now that this file is marked as green. And now to make this synchronization, we need one more command, which is git commit. And git commit basically creates a new state. So it just collects a new state of your offline folder in this case. And you need with -m and then in quotes, you need to give this a name. And usually you give a meaningful name. For example, edit file hello world. Yeah, this would be a meaningful name. What changed during the last synchronization? And now this also worked.
But now the files are still not uploaded. So
if I reload here.
Yeah. So more or less Git works with these commits. And these commits can be synchronized between the online and offline folder. But right now we only created this commit offline. And now we can synchronize it to the online folder.
So we go back here. And what is the last command then? Git push.
Yes. So we can never directly push files or changes to Git. We only push commits to Git. And in order to push such a commit, we of course first need to create it. So we tell Git which files should be in this commit. Then we tell Git that it should create a commit with this message, and then we push this commit to GitLab. If you can't follow that quite yet, or you're unsure about all of this new terminology, that's not a problem. You can always read this in our guide, and the commands are always the same. You just need to do this to upload your changes to GitLab.
And now, yay! helloworld.c is also in the online folder here.
And we can also see here the last commit, which has this message now and the name you just gave previously, you just chose previously.
Yeah, so I hope this is clear, the Git introduction. And
yeah, I think we'll skip this.
We will
now.
skip the hello world. So
you will see it in the lecture today.
Yeah, so they will explain it anyways, so they need to explain a bit more. So we'll skip the first C program because we only have 15 more minutes, and would also like to allow some questions of you.
And onlineGDB.
Yeah, onlineGDB is far more important, so maybe we continue with this again. Yeah?
Yes. So how do you register to onlineGDB? We have the invite link in the Notion. If you go to the guide for the practicals, so maybe from the beginning, coding, TU Graz AD. So that's always the same link. ESP, that's the course you are attending. Guide for the practicals. And then down here,
left side,
guide for onlineGDB. So how do we register? Well, first you need to create your account on this link here. But you need a name, and we need to know this name because somehow we need to check if you did your weekly exercises. So we already gave you a name. If you visit this link up here, you get to this site here, and down here you see use the following username, and it's blurred out. That's because I don't want you to copy it. You can click on it, then you can see it. I don't want you to copy it by hand, so don't type this in. You can use this button here to copy your username. And now it should be, you should have copied it. And now we can paste this here. And if you use exactly this username you see on this page, then we can find you after you registered. Do you want to do this now or skip it?
I don't think that we do this now.
Okay. So you just need to enter your email, choose a password and click register. I think this should be possible.
And I just want to mention, you don't need to use your TU Graz email address. You can use any email address. And if you don't want to use your personal email address, you can also create some other email address and throw it away after the semester. It's also fine.
This is then completely anonymous. Only we know which name you have here, and we can check if you did the weekly exercises. And then afterwards, as you see here in the next step, you can use this invite link to join the classroom if you are logged in, of course.
Or you can also press on the left side on classroom, that should also work, but you need to be logged in.
And then
you see this course, ESP winter term 24, and today at 6:15, the first exercises will be released. You see them, and you can write these programs. Then you should have the knowledge after the lecture to do the weekly exercises. And now the original goal was that we show now the Hello World on the virtual machine as well as on onlineGDB, but we don't have the time because we want to allow questions. But I'm sure that you will be able to do it. When you open the exercise, you have a question.
Yeah, it's just how do I join the classroom? Yes, if you register and then click on classroom, of course there's no classroom. After you registered, as it's described here, you need to click on this link, this invite link here to join the classroom, and then you can do the weekly exercises after we published it later.
And then if you click on an exercise, there will be an editor. What is an editor? We haven't seen this today, but we will see this also next week. Basically, something where you can edit files. And you can write the code there that you see in the lecture today. You can then execute the code with the run button. You can test the code with the test button. So this is again displayed here. And a weekly exercise is successfully solved if you pass all tests. So whenever you solve an exercise, there will be tests, and you need to pass all these tests. And today, the first exercise will be a Hello World. There is one test case where you just need to check whether your program prints Hello World. But you will see this in the lecture. This is not too concrete at the moment.
Yeah, so just follow this guide step by step. I think it should be pretty clear. Okay.
Yeah, we discussed this already.
Then let's continue with the questions.
Can I
go to the next?
Yeah, we talked about this. So just to sum this up, today we started with the virtual machine. We saw that you should use it, and there are some alternatives, of course, but if you use the virtual machine, it's the simplest way. Then you demonstrated a lot of Linux commands, but I think they're not too difficult if you practice them a bit.
Of course, the slides will be online. You can rewatch the stream again, and you can check out the commands online on the slides. You will see the overview. You'll also see the overview on a few of the slides about Git and GitLab, and all of Git and GitLab is also additionally described on our website in the guides. So
well, we skipped the Hello World and talked also about onlineGDB a bit.
Yes, you will get access to PDF form of this presentation.
Yeah, so the slides will also be, if we go back to Coding TU Graz AT ESP, and then here on the bottom of the lecture and the practicals, and here the practical slides, and from the kickoff they are already here, and for today we will add them at some point after the stream today. Okay, then we maybe move to the questions. You can ask questions now in the YouTube chat, but we also provided this Slido. If you do not have a YouTube account, you can ask questions here. Just go to the web page and enter the correct code and I think some username, and which doesn't matter. Then you can also ask questions if you do not have a YouTube account or don't want to write in the chat. Also anonymous there.
So I see one question in chat. What is the alternative for Valgrind on macOS? Okay, so most of you won't understand this, but this is something from the guide if you read through it. There is no alternative to Valgrind on macOS, but you get the Valgrind logs of the online test cases on GitLab, which you can use to debug your program.
One more question is, why do we use Git if the projects are validated via GDB? The weekly exercises are to be solved on onlineGDB because we would like that there is no barrier to install a virtual machine and deal with Git, but all the assignments and also the first homework needs to be done in the virtual machine using Git. So the weekly exercises are just preparation, just that you get to programming very fast without having to install everything, but everything else needs to be done on the virtual machine.
Yeah, so basically the weekly exercise, you can complete weekly exercises before you did all this with the virtual machine, setting up GitLab, which we know can take some time if you're new to this. Yeah, so this question on here, is Docker stable enough on macOS? Yes, I think so. I tested the Docker on macOS and it worked. So
next question, until when do we have time to install the programs, or probably the virtual machine and so on? Probably it's a good thing to do this next week or at least in the next 2 weeks, because in 2 weeks assignment 1 will be released. And you need it also for the homework 1. You have 2 to 3 weeks at most for homework 1, but you can also finish it next week already. So probably do this now in the next days on the weekend, and if there are problems, that you have enough time to deal with them.
Yeah, so just to make sure I understood it, we write our programs in Visual Studio Code. We didn't talk about this, but yes, we'll show this to you next time. Virtual machine makes code available for all devices. This is not true. The virtual machine is just on your computer. GitLab makes your code available for all devices. So if you upload it to GitLab, you can access it on any device, and you also hand it in on GitLab. So this is both. Okay.
So I've never programmed before, so I'm confused. What exactly do I need to install in order to be able to do the weekly exercises? Nothing, you just use onlineGDB. For everything else, you need to have your virtual machine and GitLab installed. Yeah, when will the first homework will be online? Today at 6:15. And the third question here, I installed the VM. When I started it, it just says no bootable medium found, bootable medium reboot. Yeah, so questions why a VM doesn't work, we cannot answer them live now in the stream.
Yeah.
Please write us on Discord. Maybe post also the error code, or make a screenshot of the corresponding error message that we can deal with that.
Yeah. So basically we need the VM to ensure that the big exercises work and can be tested well by your system. Yes, exactly. But you also always see when you push your commits to GitLab if the tests work. So you can check in the VM and online. And if both works, you can be 100% sure. Yes, and of course you can always just not use the virtual machine and use macOS, for example. And also this the next question, yes, everything for the assignment should also work on macOS, except one small detail where you can test a part of your program, but we'll get to this later. But you can also check this online.
You also answer this question and then go through the chat then afterwards, after the next question maybe, or then I go directly to the chat. So the homework, the coding session registration, and the weekly exercises will be released today after the lecture. Yeah, onlineGDB will only be used in our course, so you will probably not have to create any further onlineGDB accounts. One interesting question is if I have two devices I want to code with and connect both to Git, is this possible? How can we do this? This is possible. This is really the thing why GitLab comes in very handy. You just clone the repository to both devices. So we have two offline folders. Whenever you make changes in one offline folder, you push them. And then there is also a command called git pull. And with this command, you download the changes from the online repository to the offline repository. And then you can stay in sync even if you work with more than one device. Yeah? Would you like to continue?
So I just came to Austria, and I also code in English. Yeah, so we're talking English, you can do the assignment interview in English, and mostly you will write the code in English as well.
Yeah, basically everything needs to be English.
But you can of course also use German at the assignment interviews or when you're writing comments, I think.
Sorry?
Are comments okay in German?
No, everything is in English. Everything.
Okay, but at the assignment interview you can talk German.
Yes, in the assignment interview.
So are the deadlines for the weekly exercises the same as assignment 1? Yes. So the assignment for the weekly exercises belonging to assignment 1 is the deadline of assignment 1, but we would urge you to really do them weekly. That's why they're weekly exercises.
How much storage do you need for the VirtualBox to run it properly?
30 gigabytes.
30, because the virtual machine is very large.
Yeah. So you don't need to download 30 gigabytes, but when you extract it, it will be 30 gigabytes. Yeah, who can I contact when I need to help to set up my Mac with M2? Then you can come to either on Discord, and I hope I can help you, or you can come to the personal question hour.
Yeah, maybe show this also in the Teach Center. It's probably important. Personal question hours are available here, scheduler, and you can also see there are dates available already next Tuesday. And as far as I know, you will also be there.
Yes.
Because you are like the VM expert of our course. Now back to the slides.
Yeah. You can store the VM on the hard drive, but maybe the performance will be poor, but you will just need to test this. So the ranking is not open yet because the rankings are always specific to an assignment. Maybe
you can write us where this link is, because maybe I wrote the wrong link at some point. Maybe it should be just coding-graz/home. So weekly homework GDB only and assignments GitLab. Yeah, weekly exercises are GDB, and the first homework as well as the assignments are all on Git.
Okay, yes, so the weekly exercises are in onlineGDB. The homeworks you hand in on the Teach Center where you book your slot, and the assignments on
I already did that question, but okay, you were in, yeah.
I was
no
checking
problem.
the chat. Okay.
We don't know about design your own app.
Yeah, I don't know.
But you can watch the lecture later in ESP if you really have mandatory attendance there.
Yeah. And of course, as I think we already said, you're not forced to do the homeworks or more the assignments in the virtual machine. You can do it in any way you like, as long as it works when you hand it in on GitLab. and we're not really sure about the minimum requirements. What did you choose?
Yeah, I mean, you need these 30 gigabytes, and you, I think, set it to 2 CPUs and 4 gigabyte RAM. So you need them, but you can also adjust the settings before you start the virtual machine the first time. But we cannot guarantee if you reduce the requirements that it then really works, because it's a bit heavyweight. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you will see your tutor when after you handed in the first assignment, then we'll assign you to a group with a tutor. And how well does Minecraft command block experience translate to the C programming language? Then you're basically already an expert, I think.
Okay, so any more really important questions, because we need to close the practicals now, because 10 minutes the lecture starts, and David probably wants to set his workspace up.
Yeah, you can always ask any remaining questions on Discord or next week.
Okay, then yeah, we will see you next week. Hopefully everything goes well with the first weekly exercises and setting up the VM. And now have a lot of fun with the lecture. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.